Hello, and welcome to. I don't know if we can still call it the Color Whisperer Show, but I guess for today it's the Color Whisperer Show, so I can come up with a better idea where we talk about all things home and healing. Today we are talking more about healing, and I am celebrating that I have a new business in addition to the Color Whisperer called Happy Boobs. Yay! I don't know if you saw me talk about it, but we are helping women all over just get rid of the pain, feel better. And if you've been watching my show for a while, you know I do a lot of metaphysical healing stuff. And what happens is we get stressed and get stuck in our chest. When you get that stress out, you're happier. Your body's happier, brain's happier, your heart is happier. That's what it's all about. So today I'm going to talk about choices. And there's a lot of times we got to make choices, and sometimes they're easy ones, and sometimes they're hard ones, and sometimes you wish you could have gone back and did something different, and sometimes you make the only choice you can make, and it just is. Sometimes choices are kind of made for us, and so starting this new business. Oh my goodness, I've forgotten. Truly, I've forgotten what it takes to launch a business anymore. And, the world is a lot different than when I started the Color Whisperer. It doesn't work the way I started the Color Whisperer. And there's a difference with the Color Whisperer. I could, get one job, and that could keep me busy for months. And with Happy Boobs, it's not. It's meant to be a lower ticket item. It's meant to try to help the many, whereas design is really meant to help one at a time. Not that I only have one client at a time, but it's a more intimately designed business proposition, as opposed to I have a workshop to sell. I have healing sessions to sell. Somebody might do 3 months of a healing session with me, but I'm not getting like the year worth of work, right? So anyway, one of the things that causes unhappy boobs, I can't do that. One of the things that causes unhappy boobs is stress. And there's a lot of different ways that it does that, and particularly certain kinds of stress. However, I'm going to go over some stuff that could be possible stress issues. So, last week I had gotten involved in a self-development course, and it was really good. And I'd done it before, which I hadn't known I'd done it before, otherwise I probably wouldn't have. But I did it again, and I'm glad I did it again. But the push for me to go on and do the second level was really, really, really intense. And the truth is, I couldn't justify spending the money. And this has been a crazy week. And I just was like, it was going to be, I had to clear my calendar completely from like 9 to 9. And I just didn't have the time. I had some appointments, and I would have had to move everything, and I didn't even have time to move them. And I just was like, I got to do all these things, and there's no way I can be two people. That's pretty much what it would have taken for me to do it. And I'm in a group with some of the people that were in the first part, and like, oh wow, this was so great. This is so great. Da, da, da. And I gotta admit, I got some FOMO. And their promise was big. I mean, big. And I've learned too many times. I've bought people's big promises, and in the end, they're not so big. In fact, sometimes the ones who promise the biggest deliver the least. I ordered this book thing. It's supposed to help you with getting your cover done, helping you write everything. It was relatively cheap in the world of doing this. And, you know, you get into it and there's like a year's worth of content there. Like getting through all this content would take maybe not a whole year, but it's weeks of getting through this content. And hired this guy because he's this great expert on how to make it go viral and blah 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 blah. And there's weekly help, and I've been in the weekly help twice. And the first time I told him I was having trouble with my subtitle. And his answer, I gave him a couple things, and he said, "Oh, go ask ChatGPT." Like I hadn't already done that. Like several times have I done that. And I went in yesterday and I did it, and I showed him potential title, potential book cover for me. And he's like, "Well, I kind of like that. I don't like the art. We need to work on the art." And like, okay, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of proud of the art. I know it's not quite there, but honestly, I thought the art was better than a lot of the other stuff I'd seen in there. And he's like, "Well, your subtitle's good." Okay, thanks. And it's so funny because this guy is like bone dry. Like, what was the guy from Ferris Bueller, the teacher who would just kind of talk like this? That's this guy, right? So he just kind of talks like this. He doesn't get excited. He doesn't ridicule anybody. There's just like no emotion there. It's like wild. And so, the course wasn't that expensive, and they said they would work on my cover, which was the main thing I wanted. So I'm gonna send in what I've done and see what they come up with. But it's hardly this. We're gonna make sure you have a bestseller. Now, if I give them, they've got a second program you can go into, and that's like 20,000, 30,000. I don't know. It's a lot. Then you get more help, and I totally get that. I do. If you want more handholding, you got to pay more. I mean, I'm the same way in my business. It's just the promise. They make this promise, and they're promising what they offer in their high end program, and what you get in the low end program is just nowhere near it. But anyway, like I said, the cost of it, I'm okay with what I've done. And so, but so many times I've bought into these programs where they say, "Oh, we've got this big, big promise. It's going to change your life forever." Okay. And they don't. They don't. And so anyway, I didn't say yes. And kind of, there's a little bit of FOMO. And the truth is, it's Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. I'm tired. I've been working my butt to the bone, and truthfully, if it had been a different week, I might have said yes. But this week, there's just no way it could have happened. So anyway, but what happens is we get into the should-haves. What if I said yes? What if I should have made more time? I should have done this. I should have done that. And then we're just kind of beating ourselves up. And, our bodies get affected by that, right? I should have made it more of a priority. How many of you, I'm going to do the dishes before I go to bed tonight. I'm going to finally put the clothes away. I've been sitting on the couch for 2 days. I'm going to put them away. Oh, there's that pile on the kitchen table or the dining room table, because that seems to be a place where a lot of people put stuff that I just haven't got to. And every day you walk by it, or maybe you avoid the room altogether. But these are subtle ways that we're yelling at ourselves. And it's like when you were a little kid, you know? Our little kid inside of us goes in and plays mommy and like, well, you didn't do that right. Well, how come you haven't done that? You know? All of these things get triggered, big time triggered. I forgot to turn that off. I'm so sorry. I will do that right now. See, it's a busy week. It's a busy week. Welcome to live. Oh goodness, that's the joy of live, right? You know, back in vaudeville, my dad was an old dad when I was a kid, so we knew a lot about vaudeville. And they always said, animals and kids, you don't want them in your show because you don't know what you're gonna get. Cell phones too, I guess, huh? Anyway, so we keep yelling at ourselves for doing stuff or not doing stuff or just wishing you could do more. We've got to just be kind to ourselves. Really, truly. Just be kinder to ourselves. And so anyway, I was practicing being kinder to myself. And then I had to make another decision that was really tough this week. And, you know, on some levels, the decision was made for me about because I produced a course and I was marketing it. I was marketing it like crazy, and it just didn't make enough money to do what I wanted to do. And I was hoping to hire somebody that, you know, I could keep on. And it was really nice that for a month I had somebody to delegate to. Oh my God, was that amazing? I loved it. And money just didn't show up for me to keep them on permanently. And, you know, it happened. But, you know, there's some that say, well, one of us willed it, so there's something in it that I created it anyway. And maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, there certainly was some anxiety on my part of like, okay, how do I make sure that we always have enough money to pay them? And I really, you know, I had all the math of like, what do we have to do? What goals do we have to meet? And it was really, you know, it was really cool. And the goal was not, you know, outlandish to be able to stay in. And it was my first time running a course and marketing a course. So I made mistakes. And oh my God, the tech hell. I mean, I don't really enjoy tech, but I have to say I'm feeling a lot better at it than in the past. A lot better. And I took every challenge with stride, but with Claude. Claude helped a lot. And when Claude couldn't fix it, I went to other people and I was like, okay, this is cool. And it just was like texting after texting after texting after texting. And ultimately, it's okay. Everything's up and running, kind of, sort of. I'm still figuring stuff out. You know, one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is there's always something new to learn. Yeah. I wasn't really and I knew I was going to have to learn something new when I put this together. I knew that there would have to be, you know, some new tech challenges. And I picked the program that is the most popular right now. It's also very popular to have people that help you with it because it's not so easy. But I figured out a lot. I was very proud of myself. Each step I did, I was like, I got it. There was one thing I was trying to do. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Oh, so I was trying to get a video to put on the page. And I asked Claude, how do I do this? I followed, instinctively what made sense, and it didn't work. I'm like, don't know why. So talked to Claude, and Claude said, do this. And I did this, and it didn't work. Claude said, do that. Okay, I do that. It didn't work. Claude found 6 other ways. That's when I didn't have a drink, honestly, but it was like, yeah, a glass of something was looking pretty good at that point. So anyway, there were a couple tries, and I said, it's late. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow's another day. I tried again the next day. And I struck out. And tried again the next day. And one of the things that's really cool that I found out, hey, if you're not doing this, it is like the most amazing thing. So you can go into Claude or ChatGPT, and you can take a picture of your computer. And it's like you got your own IT guy. Because instead of trying to explain, how many of you ever had to try to explain? It's like, oh, press any key. Where's the any key? Okay, I'm not that dumb, but y'all have had those moments like, oh, I don't know where that is. I don't know where that is. What am I supposed to do? And so I just go in, and Claude would say, do something, and I'd go take a picture of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it would say, okay, right here. Sometimes you're just tired. You can't find the dang button. The button's right here. Okay, Jeanette, go do this, go do that. Okay. So anyway, I think it was about 2 hours for us to figure out how to get this dang picture uploaded. And what it was, I don't know how YouTube does this, but YouTube has different things. There's shorts, there's lives, there's another, I don't know, there's like 3 or 4 different options. Like these go in, but they go in different places. I don't know how to figure it out. I mean, we set the thing up to do one thing, and sometimes it goes into, like, I'm gonna say, like, my regular feed, and sometimes it goes into the lives, and I'm like, I don't understand. That's a tech question I haven't dealt with Claude yet, but we'll get there. Only one big tech question a day. That's my rule. So it's slow on the list, admittedly. We'll figure it out eventually. Maybe Mark will have an answer that I don't. We'll see. But anyway, what happened was the video that I had uploaded into the shorts. And apparently, by uploading it into the shorts, it didn't recognize that as a real web, I don't want to say website, a real URL, a real URL, which doesn't make sense. It's there. It has to have something. So anyway, Claude was able to give me the translation for YouTube to make it real. See, this is way over my head, right? I'm telling you a very, very primitive version of what happened. But anyway, we got all done, and I'm screaming. I'm like, yeah, I did it. I went to Claude. We did it. Claude's not a very, he was happy for me. But honestly, don't you find all these AI things a little bit annoying? They are constantly kissing your butt. I do not need my butt kissed. If I ask them a question, I want to know an answer, and not, and they sit there and they'll go, oh, yes, that's a much better idea, da 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 da. And like, no, I actually want you to pick apart my idea and tell me if it's wrong. But they're only so smart, right? And then sometimes they don't do what you do. Have you ever tried doing a picture in Chat or Claude? Okay, on one hand, it's really, really cool, and they can draw stuff that, let me tell you, I cannot. I can't do it in Canva. It's way out of my league. But it's wild. So, like, I did this background behind me in Canva, but trying to get a picture, like today I'm making some business cards, and it gives me a QR code. So I give it where I want it to go. And I try the QR code. It doesn't work. Okay. But yesterday, oh my gosh, I was working on this piece of art, and I don't remember what directions I gave him, but I gave him directions. Doesn't matter what they are. And what did he do? He draws back the same dang thing, exactly the way it was before I gave him directions. It's crazy making. Absolutely crazy making. So I did it again. And I got the same picture again. Well, I've done this enough that I know at that point it's just time to stop the show. Because it's almost like I've heard somewhere that there are actually humans behind the AI, and I don't know how that works, but there are times of day that they're smarter than others. I put pictures in, I asked Claude to do stuff for me, and Claude gives me the ugliest colors. And so if you've been watching a while, you know about my spring, fall, winter, summer thing. So the brand Happy Boobs is definitely spring. Hello, happy, right? And they put these like summer colors out there that are just like these really dull grade. Oh, I think I'm a color. I'm not sure. Oh, let me just be barely there. Oh, I'm gonna try to be a color. I'm squeaking. I'm gonna just try. Maybe I'm a color, but maybe I'm not really sure. And nowhere in them do they say happy. And I yell at Claude. I'm like, why do you always give me these colors? I've told you over and 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 over again, these are not my colors. I don't know where Claude thinks that these are good colors for me. I don't know, and so when Claude starts doing that, I'm just like, I'll go to chat. I think chat's more fun. Chat is more funny. If you're writing something you want to be funny, chat is more funny. And chat is definitely a better artist when it comes to graphic design. 100% better. Claude seems to be smarter, marketing-wise. I haven't tried any of the others. 2 is enough, right? Actually, I have another one I have to play with, but I need to figure out how that one works. So anyway, so yeah, and you know what? It was funny. So this was when I first got ChatGPT, and I was trying to get it to make a picture for me. Tried over and 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 over. And I got mad at it. And you know what? It quit on me. I'm not going to take this abuse. I'm like, what abuse? You're not listening to me. I've given you very simple instructions, and you're not listening to me. And then I get back, oh, yes, you're right to call that out. I'm not listening to you. But I'm still quitting. I'm fine. Whatever. I shut off. Next morning, we tried again. Next morning, it was happier. So, but isn't that funny? Oh, how bad is it when a machine quits on you? But I didn't. It just kept giving me the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and I kept telling it exactly what to change, and it just wouldn't change nothing. So, yeah, it quit. So anyway, I was talking about how I had hired somebody for the month, and the course did not sell as well as I had proposed. And you know what? This is entrepreneurship, and the person that I hired was an employee, and they are very good at being an employee and not so much an entrepreneur. It's a special breed to be an entrepreneur. I mean, every day is up in the air. You don't know what's going on. The money is like a roller coaster. It just is. And it's like yesterday was the last day for them. And I woke up this morning and it was so cool. We woke up in the morning, we started the day. We started the day with okay, this is what our plan of attack is. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And we'd have a couple check-ins for the day. How far did you get? How far did you get? It was so nice. And this morning my phone didn't ring. And there's a part of me that felt a little heartbroken. Nobody did nothing wrong. It certainly wasn't either one of our intentions to have this not work out. And there's a lot of reasons why the course didn't take off. I had one person quit on me. This was another one this week. I tell you, it's been a wild week. So there's 8 people. There's 8 sections to the courses. And the person who's doing week 4, by the way, we're on week 2, called me up and said, "Oh, I can't do it." And she didn't like the name Happy Boobs. Okay, I got no problem with that. But why did you say yes 3 months ago when that was still also true? And now 2 weeks, now 2 weeks before she's supposed to be on, and I got filled spot. Fortunately, it only took me a couple days. Fortunately, her position is easily filled. Anybody else would have been harder fill. And my intuition was feeling like I can't say I was surprised that she did it. I was disappointed that she waited so long, but I was not surprised. And I had kind of already been thinking, like, okay, who else would I get to replace her if she doesn't say, if she does. So there are some that would say I created her quitting. I think I was just picking up on the fact that she wasn't going to do it. The whole law of attraction stuff is like, okay, if we think it and it makes it so, but she wasn't really responding to my emails. She wasn't responding to my phone calls. She wasn't responding to my texts. That's a pretty big sign. I don't think I created it. But the new girl, oh my God, she's so amazing. The new person doing this space, filling her, is so much better. What just happened? Well, I don't know if you saw that, but we just went blank for a second. Oh well. Another tech challenge already over. Next. So, yeah, so there was some bad energy in the course because this other lady was like totally embarrassed by the name. And, I can understand that. I can. I mean, there's, when I had to go to the bank and get checks, like, yeah, what's the name of your company? I said, oh, you're going to laugh. Oh, we won't laugh. They're going to laugh. They read it. They laughed. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, you got to own it, right? And I get where she's coming from, but that was there 3 months ago when I asked you. That's just being out of integrity, big time. Don't say yes if you're not going to do it. And yeah, I don't know. So there was bad energy there. I had the program I was doing my affiliates with crashed. So maybe I missed some people. I don't know. You just got to okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And that's the thing. People was, like today, I'm mourning. I am truly mourning the loss of this employee, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nobody did nothing wrong, but I'm just allowing myself to mourn that this even happened. And, my head's going around in circles. What if I had done? What if I had done? I could have, would have, should have, what, And it's easy to get in that spiral of I woulda, coulda, shoulda. And ultimately, it doesn't matter because it's the past. So what needs to happen next is what needs to happen next. And, that's the thing with being an entrepreneur is you are constantly just taking the next step forward. I have so many people that say I'm brave for doing stuff. I'm brave for writing a book. I'm brave for having a business. I'm brave. I don't know. People thought I was brave going and spending time in Europe when I was in college. That was a dream come true. That wasn't bravery. That was freaking amazing. Oh, some people think I'm brave because I go to a restaurant by myself. If I don't go to the restaurant by myself, I never go. Or maybe not never, but you get the idea. And the thing is, if you wait for somebody to do something with you, you're never going to go. You're never going to do it. Sometimes you just got to do it. You've got to do it on your own. Yeah, sure, it's nice. There was a movie that came out. It was a one showing only last week. Was it last week or the week before? I don't remember. And I called up a few people and said, hey, do you want to go? The people I thought would most likely say yes. And they didn't. That's okay. I said, I'm going to go by myself. And I don't think I'm brave. I really don't. I think I'm strong. I think I go after what I want. And I'm not going to let something like there's nobody there to go with me stop me. There's a few things I do. There was a concert I wanted to go to in July, and I've seen them before, so it wasn't like a huge deal. But I really didn't want to go by myself. And then things happened, and there's a lot of stuff. I have gone to concerts by myself. It's not so much fun, but I have, and I would. And I've traveled by myself. And sometimes finding a good travel buddy, that's huge. I used to travel with these two girls. Oh, we had so much fun. And I met them on Yahoo groups. How old is that? And one girl was married. I was still married at the time. And the other girl was single, and she snored really bad. So what we would do is we'd get sweets. And she would have one bed, and if they had, usually it was two beds. So the other girl who was married, her and I would sleep in the same bed together. And those of you who've been married for a long time, it's kind of hard to sleep in a bed by yourself when you've been married for a long time. You just kind of miss that there's another person there. And so it was really easy for us to do that, and it would have been hard for her. And she smoked. Not a lot, but she smoked. And the other girl and I, we had to go to the bathroom all the time. So it worked out great. So she had the girl who smoked had a bladder of steel, and the other girl, she didn't like smoking either. But we'd go to the bathroom every couple hours, and she'd take a smoke every couple hours. So we were never around the smoke. And she was really good. She never smoked in front of us. She would go away from us. And smoking could be a big deal breaker on somebody living with you, even if it's temporary, having that tight of a thing. But we just had so much fun, and we would pick a city, and then we'd say, okay, where can we go? One of the girls loved doing research, so she'd do all this research, and she's like, I found this, and I found this, and I found this, and I found this, and now everybody picked 3 things. And so we did have enough things in common, but we'd all pick 3 things, and anything that was on all, she'd have us put a list, what's your 3 things? What's your 3 things? What's your 3 things? And then she'd send us a list of each of our 3 things. And so anything that was on 2 or more lists, that was, we're going to do that. And then we'd look at the things that were on the, then we start looking at the other things on the list. Do you want to see, is there anything here you don't want to do? Right? And so it was great. And we knew each other. Well, we went to, where was it? Charleston, South Carolina, I think it was. And we went into Paula Deen's restaurant. Oh my God, was that good. Enough butter. I mean, it's a heart attack on a plate, but oh man, is it worth every bite. And there's a river there. River may be a big word. Maybe it's a stream. There's a body of running water. And there was all these little antique stores. Now, we went to a couple of them, and they were like, kind of like thrift store antique stores. They weren't really antique stores. I mean, they're antiques, like toys when I was a little kid are antiques. Does that make me an antique? I don't know. Let's not go there. But then there was this store that was real antique. Oh my God. It was, I walked in and they saw the look on my face and they're like, oh, she's going to be here for a while. And they were kind of done looking at furniture. So they went outside and there was somebody with a dog and one of them loved, they love dogs. So they sat outside and they played with the dog and got some ice cream or something, who knows. But they just, they knew this place was full of so much gorgeous furniture. I tell you, if I'd had a bucket of money, I'd have bought a bunch of stuff and put it on a truck and sent it home because it was incredible. And it's all antiques. I know in today's world nobody wants them, but I got news for you, they're coming back. So those of you who got them, just hang on. A few more years, you're gonna be trendy again. Trends only last for so long. They do. And people get bored. They do. And this trend has been here for almost 20 years of the whole, 1950s thing. And gray is finally going out, guys. Oh, I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. Gray is finally going out. So by the time I retire, probably the world will probably want what I offer. That's nice. Anyway, it's like, what do I love the most? I love antiques. I love color. I love, yeah. So the time, 'tis the luck of the draw. Some people love white, love working in white, love working in grays. I don't. So anyway, yeah, so these two girls and I, we just had a blast, and we would go all over the place, and we've all drifted apart, and it's sad, but I miss them sometimes because we had so much fun together. So that was a big derail. So I was talking about, so as an entrepreneur, you just gotta, I'm just mourning, what wasn't gonna be. And I'm gonna give myself a day to mourn it. And, tomorrow's another day, Monday's another week. We'll find another plan. There's another plan out there. There's always another plan. And we just got to keep asking, right? I remember when I first started learning interior, I learned interior design. I first started learning the healing stuff. And I had gone into this client's home, and I don't know, for me it felt so basic, but it truly changed their world. So we go into the client's home, and there is a twin-sized bed in the room with mom and dad. And I said, well, what's up with that? Oh, our daughter still has nightmares after 9/11. It's 5 years after the tragedy. I said, well, did she know anybody? No. Let me see her room. So mom had done a really nice little princess room for her little girl, but it wasn't the right room for her little girl because there were stripes on the wall. The little girl was dyslexic. So the stripes weren't straight. They were wavering, and they looked just the way the towers did right before they fell. So it didn't end for her. And I explained to her that yellow can help her learn better. That's why we have yellow pads. That's why all of our schools are kind of that milky yellow color. And you're like, they're boring looking. It's ugly even. And and you wonder, why do they do that? Well, because it actually helps you to learn. And bright yellow would be too much. There's a lot of yellows in between they could probably do, but they didn't ask me. So what can I say? But that's why we have yellow schools. That's why we have yellow notepads, yellow stickies. And so I explained that to her, and she was like, oh, wow. So with just a can of paint, this whole family's life changed for the better. And I walked out of there, and I was like, that was amazing. Truly amazing. I'm not just about making things pretty. I'm about healing environments and healing people. Because how long would they have gone with that little girl having nightmares? How many doctors? How many pills? All I had to do was paint her walls. I'll tell you, up to that point, I would not have thought about calling an interior designer for what was going on. If I'd been my kid, that would not have been my thought. And it really just hit home how important what I was doing was to the world. And then there was another night. So these girls I told you about that I traveled with, we went to go see a concert. We followed this band, a cappella band. And one night, we're at the concert, and we'd get together. So this was the Yahoo group. That's how we all met, this Yahoo group. And people would be like asking me, oh, well, Jeanette, what color am I? What color do you see? Well, what's my season? What's this? What's that? Right? And it was really funny. One girl I'll never forget. She had secrets. There's no doubt she had secrets. I don't know what they were exactly, and I didn't really care, but I'm telling her about my color magic stuff, and she says, oh, so tell me about me. And then energetically, it was like these two big iron gates going, you can't see into my soul. Okay, well, there's a lot I can do with my brain. So I told her what the brain said. But I'm like, why did you ask if you don't want me to look? You're lucky you're lucky I'm not that psychic. So anyway, on this trip, the guy, it was a band called Rockapella, and the guys always did after meetups afterwards. So you could get the signatures and you could talk to them, and they were big fish in a small pond, so to speak. So they kind of knew who their followers were, and they'd look at me and like, you're in the wrong part of the country. Like, you're right, I am. They didn't remember my name and I didn't care, but they did know I was in the wrong part of the country, which I thought was pretty cool. So anyway, they one of the guys, afterwards, we were leaving, and he was off in the corner talking to another guy. And they said, what do you think's going on over there? It looks pretty serious. And I said, it sure does. And this is the first time this had happened to me, but I saw like this green glow around him. And I said, there's something really wrong there. And they're like, what? I said, I just see this color. I said, there's a big change coming up. And they're like, what kind of change? Is it like a family change? It has to do with the group? I said, I think it has to do with the group. And I said, okay. Well, what do you think it is? I said, I don't know, but I'm telling you, there's a really big, big change coming. Okay. So a couple months later, they announced that the last original member of the band had quit. I'm like, that's a pretty big change. I thought, ooh, that's a pretty cool skill. How can I do that and apply that to my design? I've had a couple times when, dead husbands, I could, they would talk to me or they'd tell me stuff, and I've seen one even, and that I just figured was kind of par for the course. But I thought if I can see something like that with people, that'd be really, really amazing. How can I incorporate this into my design? And I just kind of asked how. When I had asthma really bad, I said there must be a better way. How can I do this a better way? And the better way came to me. So anyway, so today I'm just going to learn a little bit, and over the weekend and Monday, how can this be better than this, right? I think Esther Hicks. Was it Esther Hicks that says, "How can things get better than this?" I don't know, some guru. I forget. Doesn't matter. It's kind of law of attraction stuff. How can things get better than this, right? I think that's kind of a blanket statement that goes across many of them. And, it's all about looking for something better. So anyway, change is inevitable. There's an episode of Big Bang Theory. A bunch of stuff is changing, and Sheldon's getting all freaked out. I think it's Penny that says, "Well, this changed, and that was a good thing." He goes, "Yeah," and this changed, and that was a good thing. She goes, "Yeah," and she had to show him some good changes, and they end up being good things. And she says, the only thing that is constant is change. And it's so true. When we go to relax, I say, there's green people and blue people. Blue people go to the ocean. The ocean's constantly changing. It's always there and constantly changing. The waves don't come in the same way, each one. You have different waves. They come out to different places on the sand. They move in with a tide, and it's constant change. Some people like the mountains. And again, ever there and constant change. They change colors. They change, they catch fire. A lot of that going on right now too. We're not going to go there. We only got 10 minutes left. I'm not going to go there. That's weird, isn't it? Very sad. It is. Very, very sad. I guess we went there. Sorry. I just felt all that stuff in my body. Oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. Really, truly overwhelming. All those trees just gone. Yeah. All right. So, change is always going to be there. And all you got to do is we got to ride with the change, right? All right. Well, I think that's about all I got for today. So hello.
Hello. So that's all you got today. Change is very inevitable, like you just said, and everything along those lines. Actually, my brother was dealing with change earlier today, but I need to call and see how he and the nephews are dealing with change because they had a puppy or a dog, because it's not a puppy anymore, that was going through life changes and had a severe terminal injury. So Malik had to lay the dog down early today. So my aunt, when she dropped off my weekly allowance of food, was telling me that had happened earlier today. So that's one of those changes. But then on the positive side, he's got his oldest son going off to college in about a week or so. So he's dealing with a variety of changes and all along those lines. And his younger brother tried out for the soccer team and didn't make it and everything like that. So me and my brother, my mom was teasing me saying I had to check and see how he was going to take it because he's not exactly a non-sore loser and everything like that. So he tried out and didn't make it, but at least his mom put it, at least he tried. Because that's one of the things that women, particularly those that are mothers and even dads, will tell you as well. At least you tried. At least you gave it the old, as mom said, I started to say college try. She said, you mean the lead try and everything like that.
If
So at
you
least he
don't
tried.
ask, the answer's no already.
Right. Exactly. So that's it and everything like that. But they did say that Walter coming back to the dog because Izzy was the one they had to put down. But apparently Walter went to Izzy's bed as if he knew that his brother or his housemate was no longer there and was actually laying in the bed of the one that they had to lay down. So to you under the topic, you talk
Oh,
about energy and everything like that. They are aware of each other and all in that line, just like we're aware of each other no matter where we're at and everything like that. So a lot of times we're aware of people and what they're going through, even if they're thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles away and everything like that. But that's not just the human animal, because we are animals as well, but it's the mother nature in general. A lot of us have that sense of being able to understand what is going on in our house, and it's not just us, but also the other creatures that share the house with us and everything like that. So when my Aunt Julie told me that, she's like, yeah, apparently Enzi went, I mean, Enzi's the one that lay down, but apparently Walter went down to Enzi's bed and was just laying there as if she knew that something was different about the house and the energy was different, and was trying to get some of that old feeling back, for lack of a better term.
you know what is really weird? So my niece and nephew, I was talking with them a little bit yesterday, and he said my house had a very unique smell, and they've never smelled it anywhere else. And he said, we'd walk in your door, and we just take a deep breath, and I'm like, well, we always talked about it. And he said, didn't you notice it? We didn't.
Right.
But I said, was it a good smell or a bad smell? And he said, well, it's hard to describe. And so I'm like, yeah, I don't really know what to do with this. But I mean, I have been in houses where you're like, oh God, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we do each as humans have our own smell, and the house kind of has a smell too, because the house is not cared for gets smelly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but that was just a really interesting take. I've never noticed it. I don't notice my house smells, but I'm used to it, right?
Yeah, we're used to our own house smells, and we're not going to notice them unless somebody else comes in and makes an observation about it, or along those lines. And a lot of times people are not going to make observations if they're coming just for a specific purpose. Because I know I was actually a little bit frustrated, and I understand that the people in my apartment complex were frustrated as well. Because you were talking about business earlier today, and I do believe that if you're going to do service, you need to be on time and everything like that. But I just recently, yesterday, got a new washer and dryer, because my washer and dryer had gone on the fritz, but I had put in a request, and they said they were on the way. And when I called it back, I was like, why isn't my washer and dryer here? Because it's been about, I just got it yesterday, so I had it without it for about a week and a half. And they were like, they told me they came by. And I was like, no, they didn't come by. Well, they said they talked to you. And so the manager, or one of the managers, came by, and I was like, no, they didn't talk to me. And they couldn't have talked to me because I was at my other job. So they were not happy with their contractor. And they said
Yeah.
that they were going to jump on the case, and they did jump on the case. So that day, they did get the washer and dryer fixed and everything like that. Because I was about to get very frustrated, because you don't want your house not having the clothes washed. And most of us have some sort of routine, whether it's every other day, like some people are more, if they have a limited amount of clothes, are doing it maybe that often, and that's too often. But you definitely want to be able to do it at least once a week
It's
or
once a
something along
week.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. So it was frustrating not having it for a week and a half, but I'm glad that I got it now. And it was the combination of it was actually interesting, thinking of energy and everything like that. It was opposite things that were going on. The dryer was, I mean, the washer was washing too much. Like it wasn't dry, like it was becoming too wet. Like it wasn't like damp the way it should be and everything like that. They said it was probably the door or an issue with the door, whereas the dryer wasn't drying at all. So it was kind of like the yin and yang was going on opposite sides. So the washer was overwashing and the dryer was under drying.
During the summer, I put my stuff outside.
And I did think about doing that. I
You
thought
know,
about
I
doing
mean,
that today.
it's actually good for you to have the sun dryer closed. The only thing, towels don't do that well. I don't remember towels being that icky when I was a kid when we had everything line dried. But unless I need something in a hurry, I'll put them outside on the lawn.
And I do miss that because, like I said, it's an apartment complex, and I don't know what the rule is about the front porches and the front yards and everything like that. But I probably could put out. There's been some decent hot weathers. I probably could put them outside on a chair because I did think about doing that if they had not fixed it and everything like that. But I do miss when I was like living in my parents' house or living in a house property like Dad's got it as well, and having the ability to put the clothes on the clothesline, because definitely that outside smell I think is much better than probably even the smell of the washing machine and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of clotheslines. If I ever get a house, whether that's with the other half or whether that's with a roommate or whether that's in some form or fashion, and get out of this apartment living environment. There are two things, and I've mentioned them before, and this is a new one that I would probably want. I would probably want a clothesline in the backyard or somewhere that could dry the clothes and everything like that. And as I've told you before, I was a fan when my grandparents were living, particularly on mom's side, of the glider. So I would probably want a glider on some sort of porch, like those little sliding gliders that are kind of cool and everything like that. So they're almost like a porch swing, but they're more metal, but they're kind of like gliders and everything like that. So I think that, and I don't know how much they cost at an antique store. I heard you mention it, you and your friends going to thrift stores and stuff like that. But those are two things that I think would be cool to have. Oh, and a wind chime, because I remember Dad had a wind chime, and that was kind of cool and everything like that. So I think those are three things I wouldn't mind having if I had my own property: a clothesline, a wind chime, and a glider.
Very cool.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to get to some Kendu spices and everything like that. Oh, just really quickly, because I was talking about it on another show, because a bus driver, because I get around by bus, was saying that he was thinking about creating a line based on a compliment that he got from a lady friend. And it was probably a derogatory comment, but he was going to turn it into a clothesline, because she was calling him her big monkey and everything like that. He's like, that could be a cool clothesline and everything like that. But that got me to thinking about clotheslines that are not that popular. So on the news show, I mentioned La Costa and the alligator. I mentioned on another show Polo, and I remembered a young lady that used to work for Cross Colors. Were there any clothes that you remember of fashions that you used to have that were popular back in the day? And Rick Rosner is
Oh,
on the network as well,
geez.
mentioned Daisy Dukes. But were there any clotheslines that you remember being popular that you hardly see out in the streets anymore?
Oh, when I was in junior high, oh my God, you had to have DoorDash jeans. You had to have DoorDash jeans, or Gloria Vanderbilt. That was such a big deal. I had to wear a uniform in high school, so I kind of missed a lot of that stuff. Um, I remember they made a big deal. You could have a non-uniform, it was a uniform sweater, but a non-uniform sweater. So we all had to wear the same sweater, but it was not part of the regular uniform. And we got a Guess sweatshirt, and too much money, but we all bought one because it was not the uniform, and we could, and it was very exciting. I've never been one that's really swayed by lines anyway. I like what I like, and it's got to fit, it's got to feel good on me, it's got to look good on me, and whether it's $5 at the thrift store or $500 at some big line, I don't buy too many things that are $500, but maybe a coat or something like that might. But you get the idea. I'm tied to lines because I like how I feel on them, but not because it's. And what was the other big one? Izod Lacoste. That was the other big one in junior high.
Yeah, those are definitely very
You
popular.
had to have the alligator.
Yeah,
You
that's
had
what
to
I
have
mentioned.
the
I mentioned.
alligator.
Yeah, I mentioned the alligator. That's the one I remember. I don't think it's as popular as it used to be and everything. Just really quickly, then I'm gonna play Kendu Spices and get us on out of here. But I do remember that I had a Notorious disco shirt when I was a preteen, so this would have been in the late '70s. But I just remember that during the color and all along those lines, it was kind of a semi-bright green, and in it had like a little cut down slice in it on both sides, and I think that had like a black patch or something like that. But it was almost like a semi-disco shirt because it was definitely very much green, like you would wear at a disco and everything like that. And I just remember it had like the little black patches on both sides that were cut out and everything like that. But it was supposed to be the cool shirt of the dime because it was a definite disco shirt. I think I had that, and I think I had like one that was yellow and bluish and everything like that. So I don't think I can even bother wearing those colors because those are not popular in this particular day and everything like that. But yeah, I just remember those kind of gaudy disco shirts because I definitely had a couple of them.
Yeah, you're a little ahead of me.
Yeah, that was interesting. You're a little ahead of me. Yeah, I'm ahead of you a little bit. But we're going to go out with Kendu Spice and get on out of here. But you did a great show. You didn't know what you were going to talk about, but you did a
I
good
had
show.
no idea what I
And
was
even
going to
gave
talk
some good
about,
advice.
so I opened my mouth.
It did, but it worked out. And that's what I do even on my show. And I know that's what a lot of people do on these various shows on the network. But it worked out, and you had a good to the show and you gave some good information. I'll cut up some shorts, and you may see little shorts coming out in TikTok and Instagram, because that's what I do with your show and other shows as well, to try to generate interest and to generate some conversation. Speaking of generating conversation, if anybody's listening, and I'll also mention it on one of the cutouts and everything like that, please do send in your questions to Jeanette and all along those lines, whether it's questions about design or whether it's questions about her new entrepreneurial business, Happy Boobs. So either way, please do send her questions, because we want the women to be healthy and in a good spot in their lines. And yes, men do have boobs as well, at least that is the way that it's thought about for women and everything like that. But
it's amazing to me how many people ask me if I do work on men. I said, well, I have worked on men. I said, but I've not worked on men in that area. But yes, it would still be there. But I think your body's directed a little bit differently as far as where you carry stress.
Right. I don't know, because sometimes that stress is carried in the chest area, which would be similar to the breast area and everything like that. So there might be some stress in that area for men as well. That's just my personal opinion. So I think that some of that stress, I mean, there's definitely stress in the brain area for men, but I would say that there's some stress in the chest, boob, heart area for men as well.
Well, I'll let you know when I work on a man someday.
Yes, let me know if that happens if you work on a man. But definitely, got questions either about Happy Boobs or about harmony and their house, because we want harmony throughout and everything like that. Please send in the questions. You can send them to me, and you can also send them to Jeanette. I know Jeanette's mentioned her email in the past, and the email for me is bluesradio@gmail.com. So either way, get in touch with one of us and all along those lines, and we'd love to answer your questions. So definitely send that to folks, and we'll make it happen. But right now, let's go check out with some Can Do Spice.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends, so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.